Hey everyone, welcome back. We're gonna get right on to the tutorial, but I had someone ask me the other day what type of music I listen to when I sit down and I'm creating, and the answer is I listen to pretty much everything. So what I'm in the mood for today is a playlist I have on my Spotify called A Place in Time, and it's basically I started this playlist when I would find songs that would remind me of dive bars. I always seem to be playing these songs. So that's what we're listening to today. I do keep this playing very low in the background, so if that is bothering you in the tutorials, let me know because I will reluctantly cut it out, but I like to have a little music playing all the time. Helps keep me calm. Some of these songs remind me of past boyfriends. So this is the ring we're gonna make today. I am showing you from this angle because the light is coming in, and the stone in here is a rainbow moonstone, and it gives off this beautiful like blue glow. Like all of the gemstones are unique and individual. This one happens to really have a cool blue and some green streaks in it. So I'm using copper wire. You can use whatever you like. And let's go ahead and get started on this piece. Okay, a little more close up. Here's the ring. Take it off. So we're going to start with 2 base wires. These are 20 gauge wire. And then the wire that we're using to wrap around them is 28 gauge wire. So I've cut about a wingspan worth. Probably won't need that much. You could also use different gauges here, like a 24 gauge would give it a little chunkier look. But this ring is entirely made up of these 2 wires and the 28 gauge weaving wire. The rainbow moonstone I purchased from Rio Grande. It is a 5mm cabachon. So you can choose whatever you like, but we are using a 5mm round stone for this. Oh, and I've cut these pieces to about 10 inches. It's been a while actually since I've made this ring, and I couldn't remember how much I started with, so we're gonna go with 10 inches and cross our fingers. Let's also come in, so we're gonna like shoot for a size 7 US ring. So the actual like band part, it doesn't have to be very big, so we want to kind of come in from the middle here. We want to leave these wires on the side because that's what we're going to use to wrap around the stone. So let's see, I'm going to start like 4 inches in from the left side. Let's just guess and go. All right, so your wires are close together. Your weaving wire go on the back side, and like the previous video I showed, you're going to pinch it with your index finger and your thumb, hold on to that tail, and then begin to wrap around both of the wires. So I'm not doing this so loose that there are gaps where I'm weaving, and I'm not doing it so tight that it bends this wire, but you do want some tension as you wrap it so everything stays close together and it doesn't overlap one another. Once in a while, go through, we're going to squish, and then if you have a pair of chain nose or flat nose pliers, after every few coils, I want you to just squish this down. That's going to help compress everything, and I like to give it a little like flattened look. So that's all we're gonna do, just nice and gently. So what I notice a lot of times people do is we get a little careless when we start to wrap because it can kind of be a little boring and tedious. So watch that your wires don't like crisscross or overlap each other, so you can see how that starts to get very messy. Even if you do try to compress it after, that's what you'll end up having. So let me undo this. So far I've done a little over an inch of the weave. So here's the thing, with a ring, you can make it in a lot of different sizes. So I don't, again, like to give precise measurements for everything, because you do have to just know how to adjust that as you're making. So we're going for a size 7. So here's what I'm gonna do, just to see where we're at. I'll start to bend that around. And I do still want to go a little bit further around. The weave doesn't have to come all the way to where the 2 points are going to meet, because you're going to have all of this other stuff covering that area. So I really only need from like there to there, but I will go a little bit further and then try it out again. All right, I've done just about, or just under 2 inches of the single weave to come around. There's some space, and that's okay. And so here's the thing about sizing wire rings. It can be very tricky, because the wire, if I wanted a size 7, I don't necessarily want to start working there. I might start up half of a size or a full size, depending on the design you're making. These do take a little practice to be able to get your sizes pretty close and accurate. So for instance, if I wanted a size 7, when I wrap it around, it's not necessarily going to stay at that size. What it'll do is when I release it, it'll expand a little bit, making it a little bit larger than the size that you're going for. So you want to try to start smaller, get that wire to kind of bend in a little bit more and shrink up. And then when you've completed your design, we'll put it back on the mandrel and we'll kind of force it down, which helps to expand it and actually stabilize the design and structure of the ring. I've had to adjust my camera a little bit too. So here's another thing you can do. If you feel like it's still too big, you can come up way smaller, really pull it so it shrinks up, and then move your piece down. We'll go right about there. And then also notice that it's going to be easier to work with because it's really hugging the ring mandrel. All right, so top wire up, bottom wire is going down, and we're going to work with these 2 middle wires. So we're going to twist. So pull tight and then start to rotate. There we go. Forming a little spiral shape. Okay, so once you have that going, if they're starting to pop up, you can either push them down, or I'm going to grab my hammer. I've got to get up to grab it. I'm just going to give it a little tap down. Okay. Let's go around a little bit more, because this is where your cabachon is going to sit. It doesn't have to be very big, so you can gauge that. And again, if you're working with a larger cab, maybe make your spiral a little bit bigger. All right. So we want these wires to come around and kind of be going in the same direction as the other ones we moved out of the way. All right. So that's where the cab is going to sit. Now this next part is tricky, because you might have to start to create the setting before you can put your cabachon in there. So with these top 2 wires, we're going to make a little hood, and we're going to be making this portion. So we're kind of forming it around and over, and then same thing with the bottom side. Maybe we can there we go. Just getting them going in the direction. it can be a little messy right now, that's okay. So see, now when I put him in there, those two wires should be able to go over the top of him and on the sides to hold him in place. So let's try it. If I can, I'm going to adjust so that I don't drop this guy on the floor. So I might hold him there with my thumb, kind of bring them over the top. This, you just have to work carefully, work a little at a time, make small adjustments. Whoa, sorry, it's way off screen. So what I'm going to do actually right now is kind of adjust these two wires on the side. There we go. Okay, that's going to make a difference because of the way we spiraled it to connect the two sides. This one was way up here, so I've just kind of like pressed them down so that now they're more straight across from one another. That's going to help line up our other wires. There we go. And you know, you're gonna have those days. I feel like I'm having one where I just can't quite get it to do what I want. But some days it works fast, some days it works slower. That's okay. Just keep in mind too that if you are adjusting, use light touch on these so that you don't overwork or mar the copper wire. So right now I'm just working to make sure that this moonstone is nice and secure. I'd hate to get the ring done and then the stone fall out. So I always wiggle it around, give it a little test. And then I don't like these two wires to be so spaced out, but that's okay. Sometimes you just have to do the wire wants to do. So this might have a little different look than my other one. That's okay, it'll make it unique. There. Alright, so I'm pretty satisfied with where that is. Let's go ahead and take it off the mandrel. You can see where we are. And your design choice, if you wanted your wires to have a gap between them. This one there's no gap, but doesn't mean there can't be. All right, now take the two wires and we're gonna go on the inside. Make sure your thumb is holding these wires in place because we don't want them to move while we're wrapping the rest of this. We've done a lot of work to get them where we want them. these around. And come up like so. Now we could go around one more time, should we? Did I do that on this one? I don't think I did. Okay, yes, we are gonna go around one more time. You can go in and just squeeze that where it's needed. Keep adjusting things as you go. And then this one, oh, sorry, let's keep them side by side and bring them up. Well, a little bit messier than normal, but it can be hard to do this on camera sometimes. All right, so you have two wires here. The one that's furthest on the side, we're gonna trim him about right there. And then squish him down. He is gonna be on the front side, but we're gonna cover him up with a little spiral. Spiral. So to make that, it's gonna be a very small spiral, so let's cut it about there. So just a little tail. And then using our round nose pliers, grab him. Start creating the center of that spiral, and we want this to be a really tight spiral. So now I go in with another pair of pliers and I squish the center of it so it's really tight. And then I'll grab him like flat, like a pancake, and start to curl it in so he sits right on the side and covers that wire that we've trimmed. Okay. We'll do it on the same thing on the other side. Just make sure, again, the cabachon is in place. It's nice and secure as you begin to wrap it around the ring. Oh, a little tip that I just thought of now as I'm doing this is that you might consider wrapping both sides like at the same time. So wrap around once or twice. This one I found out I only did one wrap around before I did the spiral. This one I'm doing two. But go ahead and wrap both sides, and then when you're ready to do the spiral, well, first of all, trim. Get to this point on both sides where you have your tail left that you're going to spiral in, because then when you go to trim it, you'll be able to more likely compare both sides and get your spirals about the same. All right, we have finished our ring. This is what it turned out looking like. Ooh, do you guys like my tattoo that came out of my cereal box? Because I'm 3? I think, is it, well, it looks like Darth Vader, but Kylo Ren. I'm not up to speed on all the new Star Wars references, but I think it's freaking cool. So let's test and see if it came out a true size 7. I know my left ring finger is a 7, and that fits very nicely. This should be a size 8. So you can see them side to side. This one has been patinaed, so if you want to know how to patina your copper jewelry, I do have another tutorial for that. I'll put a link down below, or you can scroll through my channel. And so if it didn't turn out to be the size you wanted, maybe it was a little small, or you just want to finish up with it like this, it's not really going to show that it's a true size 7 on the ring mandrel because of all the wrappings that we have. That's why sizing these handmade wire rings are a little tricky, but I know that my hand is, I know that this finger is a size 7, so can never really go off of the mandrel. But what you would do if you wanted to stretch it a little bit more is either just use your hands to push it down, or if you really need to get after a ring, you can use a hammer. But what I do is I cover it with a cloth. There are special hammers for stuff like this, but I'm kind of a minimalist when it comes to tools. And then you would just kind of work your way down. Now be careful, don't maybe hit the front of it, but just kind of nudge it down. And then with rings, you want to make sure that you flip it over to the other side and do the same thing so that it stretches evenly. And this is also helping to work harden your piece as you hit and make the wire expand. The molecules compress in there and actually makes the wire harder and more stable, and then you've also giving yourself a nice shape to the ring. Well, I'm pretty happy with the way this turned out. I do see some things that I could improve on, but I'm not going to be too hard on myself because it's been a while since I've made this ring. And so allow your time to, don't be too harsh on yourself if it doesn't turn out the way that you want it to. You just have to keep working and build up that dexterity and just make improvements and try again, and you will get there. I know you will. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If so, make sure to leave me a comment down below telling me, and consider subscribing to my channel so you get updates on when I put new tutorials out. Also, I have my Etsy store and my web shop now open, so if you looked at this tutorial and then decided, hell no, I'll just go ahead and buy one, thank you very much. I will probably be putting a few of these rings up on my store soon, so be sure to check that out. I'll leave all the links to that down below. You guys have a great day. Thanks so much.